Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Can we get serious now?
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives who are making the decisions of what people should see and hear in the marketplace.
Success in the music business begins with a dream, a vision. This podcast will give you, the listener, the insight and tools to turn that vision into a reality. Meet the industry professionals who work day by day behind the scenes, helping to make those dreams come true. Welcome to the business side of music.
In the studio today, in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee, Music City, we have a couple gentlemen here in the studio with us. Travis Mashad and Chris Bragg are here. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So, Chris, you're the founder and CEO of Ghostwriter Music.
Correct.
We got to ask, how did that start?
Well, I've been in the trailer industry since about 2010. Started out in finishing, working at a mix facility called SSI.
And let's talk about trailers, because a lot of people don't understand that. When you watch a movie trailer, you're basically creating a commercial for a film.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an advertisement for a film.
Right. So you got started in that, and were you putting actual trailers together, or what was your job responsibility when you were doing that?
We were the end of the line, so I was a mastering engineer there. So after the trailers are all cut, they come to us for a mix at SSI, and I was the end of the line mastering. So I would, finalize all the files to send out.
All the audio files of
correct.
the film, right? Yeah. How did you come into the picture?
So I was a sound supervisor for movie trailers, and so we did the sound finishing, and then I would take the files over to Chris, and his the mix engineer there would mix the trailers. I supervised the mix, and that's how we met.
So were you two working in the same company? Or?
No, it's two different companies, yeah. So I worked at a company called Cabin 21 Sound, and we essentially did audio prep, like finishing. We did the editorial for the audio, prepped it all to get ready for the mix. And then I supervised mixes on the stage. So
Gotcha.
we kind of worked side by side in that sense.
How'd you guys get into that business? Was it just an opportune timing? Were you sound engineers in studios or live audio guys, or how did you come about landing that gig?
I went to school for audio engineering and then music business. I guess through a friend, I landed that job at SSI as a mastering engineer. Just kind of fell into it, I guess.
And then Ghostwriter Music came along. You guys started that in, what year was that? You started that 2015?
2015, yeah.
So you've been going six years now with it. And when I looked at the credentials of some of the projects you have worked on, you guys got some notable trailers or film trailer music going on there. Are those original compositions that you guys create, or how does Ghostwriter start? How does that work?
Really, well, it started with him, composing in the garage, and then I came on board, and we started to build a team of composers. So we have composers pretty much around the world helping us. It's a mix of original composition, and then we do covers, and we overlay on other tracks, just depending on what the client wants, really. We have a catalog of music that we pitch to our clients, and then we also do custom music. So it's a combination of our clients hitting us up and saying, hey, we need a cover of this song, but all of it's theatrical, it's for movie marketing. So the biggest, most bombastic pieces, so it's all across the board. When
you do original compositions, is this something that you kind of brainstorm with other composers or artists, or is it something how do you create that music, especially for, some of the projects you guys have worked on, like Hitman's Wife, Bodyguard?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty intense film, got some great actors in it. How did you come up with the music for that trailer?
Yeah, I mean that trailer in specific was a combination of like our custom. We have a couple custom producers. Brian, who's also our partner, he's in LA. He's working directly with the editorial team who's cutting the trailer, and they're coming up with the ideas. And then he takes that idea and goes to our composers and essentially lays it out for them. Say, hey, this is what they want, and they format it, and it kind of goes back and forth from there.
You get the trailer from the film company. Is it without the sound attached to it, or maybe I should say the audio files attached to it? Is it a completed body of work, or is it sometimes, here's the concept, here's kind of some of the scenes we're going to put into the trailer? How complicated does it get?
So we very rarely get picture. Generally, they cut the picture for the trailer to the music. Yeah. So
okay.
we're kind of the first step. They'll hit us up for the music. They'll kind of give us an outline of what they want, and then we'll create a piece from there. And then they take it and chop it up so that it works in their edit.
Wow. So it's kind of like barn doors open, let all the animals out, and hope that you come up with something creative.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ideas floating around. So we typically, on one trailer, we may do, a couple different songs. We may do 15 different songs for one concept of a trailer that they're working on. And so, there's a lot of ideas flowing around.
How many individual pieces of composition, and I'm hoping that's the way to say it, how many would typically go into a 2-minute trailer? And is that something that is determined by you guys ahead of time, or does whoever, the director, producer, the film editor, come back and say, we need some more, pow, wham?
Yeah. So a typical trailer will have, I guess, 3 movements. There's an intro, a middle section, and then the back end.
The climax.
Yeah, the climax of the trailer. So I guess the goal of every trailer is to kind of build tension the whole time and kind of just leave you hanging.
Yeah.
The biggest thing about trailers, I guess, is to never kind of resolve. It always has to leave you at the end of the trailer wanting more. So
edge of your seat is usually the...
But how do you know that if you haven't seen the actual film footage? How do you know where to stop?
Our goal is just to take the creative team's idea and put it in music form. So they give us the idea, they tell us the synopsis of the movie, what they're kind of going for, and our goal is to bring that to life in music. Make sure it gets there to where they want it. And there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of like, okay, here's our version 1, and then we may end up at 15, version 20 by the end of it. Kind of slicing and dicing the music and pushing it further or dialing it back. Sometimes we're like, oh, this is way too big. We need to take it back.
They come back and give you that direction.
So once they put it on picture, then they'll know, like, yes, this gets there or this doesn't quite get there, So, and then there's, it just depends on the genre. Some genres tend to be like, okay, we'll use one piece of music for the entire trailer. Other genres, they'll keep switching cues, especially in the comedy field or the animation field. They may use 4 or 5 different music cues in one trailer.
So you just brought that up, the different genres, the different styles of film. Do you have composers that just focus on, say, the action pictures, and other composers that maybe their forte is animation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Every composer on our roster, we kind of have them pegged with a specialty. So when we get a project in, we always automatically know, like, oh, we should use this guy on this one, or this, this lady on this one. It's just always, everybody kind of has a specialty.
Yeah.
How do you find these composers?
We get, as we've grown as a company, we get a lot of people reaching out to us wanting to be a part of what we're doing. So we get a lot of emails on the daily. So we try and take time out of our week to kind of scavenge through them and listen to. There's a lot of people just getting into the game where they haven't quite got there yet, and then there's a lot of hidden gems, and so we'll find people and start working with them.
It's a very specific skill set. So
yeah. I was going to say, this isn't your typical Nashville songwriter who writes about the guy who loses his girl and his dog in his pickup truck.
Exactly.
This is something that's a lot more detail oriented.
Yeah.
And when you say you get someone that maybe hasn't got the chops in yet, but you think they have the...
they might have a unique quality.
Yeah, they might have that ability to do something. Is this something you can pretty much figure out from the beginning?
Yeah, usually what we do is, especially since we have a catalog of music, Chris or myself will produce an album with them. That's something we can produce an album over a span of a year if we wanted to. You know what I mean? So we could take our time and we could see how quickly they are with returning revisions back to us. And so that'll let us, give us an idea of like, okay, yeah, these guys, we can maybe throw, a custom gig at them where it's the turnarounds can be within, sometimes we get a couple hours to do something or, the day to do something. And so working with people on the album side of things helps us kind of gauge that. Let's
talk about that because we've had songwriters on the show who pitch to like the Hallmark Channel, the different types of networks. And that delivery system, a lot of times they will get a pitch in the morning and they have to have something there at 5 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
Are you guys under that same amount of pressure or is it a little different scope for you?
Yeah. Daily basis, we have some projects that are due the same day, some that are due, with the custom thing and the trailers, there's a lot of times where it's like, oh, we only need like a minute's worth of music, or we only need 30 seconds worth of music here. So we'll get that and they'll be like, hey, we need it in a couple hours. And so we have to really rely on our composers to be available and be there to turn that stuff around quickly. And then through the night, we get revisions and people asking us for stuff. So
I was going to ask you that. Do you ever get the call in the middle of the night? Some film editor or director's got a great idea for the trailer. They call you at 2 o'clock in the morning and go, hey, can you knock this out for me? Does it get that extreme?
Yeah, it does on times, yeah. Typically it'll be in the late afternoon is when we get...
And we need it right now. Yeah. We need it by 5 o'clock.
Yeah, they're like, hey, they'll hit us up at 7 o'clock in the afternoon and then be like, hey, we want it back by morning. So luckily we have composers in Australia that are just waking up, so we can hit them up and they can turn it around in the morning time and get it back to us.
In the studio, Chris Bragg, Travis Michaud.
You're listening to the business side of music.
When you have a Korg synth at your fingertips, the possibilities are endless. Be it digital, analog modeling, altered FM, wave sequencing, or the multi-engine synth, Korg gives you easy access to a variety of features to help you get the perfect sounds quickly. Whether you're a professional musician or just starting out, Korg truly has a synthesizer to help you express yourself. Visit Korg.com or your favorite Korg dealer to get your hands on one of their products to create new music always. Korg, the official sponsor of the business side of music.
Hi everyone, I'm Larry Butler, and I want to send you a free digital copy of my new book, The Singer-Songwriter Rulebook, 101 Ways to Help You Improve Your Chances of Success. That's right, everything you need to know to launch your career as a singer-songwriter, all based on my 40 years in the live performance arena, and believe me, I've seen it all. In my book, you'll find the 10 things you have to deal with before even thinking about becoming a singer-songwriter performer. You'll also learn about the 5 things every singer-songwriter can do this weekend to make their live show better. 5 things I can guarantee that you are not doing already. Plus, there's tips on songwriting and staging, photo and video shoots, publishing, merch, dozens of other topics. All written for people who don't particularly like to read. And again, it's free. Just go to the Business Side of Music website homepage and look for my book cover. Click on it, and a free digital copy of my book will be yours. I'm Larry Butler, and I approve of this message.
You're listening to the Business Side of Music.
Back in the studio, Chris Bragg and Travis Michaud, the CEO and founder and the COO of Ghostwriter Music. You guys recently came to Nashville. How long you guys been here?
Just a little over a year. We moved.
So you're still typically newbies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nashville being the music city that it is that why you chose coming here? Because let's clarify something. You already have offices in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right.
What was the reason for coming here to Nashville?
I've always loved Nashville. Every time I come here, it just has this vibe that just kind of connects with me.
Yeah.
I think
it does with a lot of people, too, that come.
It's a really different feel here in Nashville. And I think, just the amount of live music here, it's like every place you go into has someone playing, and it's just amazing. I love that about the city.
Yeah, I think we're just trying to, we kind of have a setup in LA that's really heavily working with the studios and doing our custom music side of trailers, and we're trying to expand past that, more marketing, maybe even full length music and stuff like that. So getting in touch with more composers and artists that are not just in that like Hollywood world, I think was more inspirational for us too.
Do you think it's, and nothing against what you say, the Hollywood world,
yeah,
but do you think it's more of a real atmosphere here? I mean, obviously Nashville is extremely laid back compared to the LA scene. Because we talk about a different vibe, but is that something that helps you when it comes together putting a project, the music to a project? Is it just kind of a different flavor, a different element than the LA scene that's going on? Yeah,
I think the LA scene is heavily based around like movie making, where I feel like here the music scene is much more vibrant than LA. LA kind of used to be that way, right? Hollywood, Sunset Strip used to be very music heavy, and a lot of those places are starting to dwindle with construction. A lot of those small...
Yeah, a lot of the clubs that I grew up in, like Gazzari's, the Viper Room, they're all gone.
Yeah, yeah, they're starting to dwindle, and the music scene itself seems to be diminishing as well, or spreading out per se.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people doing just in home studio stuff, and they're not even like doing that kind of like trying to go out on the road and being found, where I think that's still pretty vibrant here. Like you can go anywhere in Nashville and find somebody super talented, which we already have. So it's been pretty cool just to walk out and find somebody.
You have clients like Amazon, Hulu, HBO, Netflix. Those are pretty much the big powerhouses in the field that we're talking about right now. Do they come to you? Do you go to them? How do you get that door open to start working with those people?
So it's kind of a strange world.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for movie marketing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We're talking about that. Yeah.
So a lot of the time we don't actually work with the studios directly. We work with a company in between.
So there'll be a production company.
Yeah, so it's like a trailer house.
Okay.
So we work with a lot of trailer houses, but the studio's the one that pays us at the end of the day. So
exactly. We have a relationship with both, but who we work directly with most of the time is the vendor who cuts the trailers.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of them in LA specifically.
How do the vendors in Los Angeles feel about working with a company such as yourselves that's based in Nashville? Does that seem to be an issue for them, or is it just pick up the phone and make the call?
The most of our like work that's quick turnaround stuff, we have people in LA.
Because you still have an LA office.
Yeah, we still have an LA office, so they handle that. I have a couple clients that I deal with, but they know I'm out here. They're totally fine with that. They don't really, as long as we're turning around the same amount of work, they don't care as much.
Especially since the pandemic and everything's so much more remote these days.
Yeah.
Has that really, when we talk about the pandemic, because obviously it's devastated the industry, not just music, but film and television too, because everything went on hold. Is that something that you guys were able to adapt to, easily adjust to, because everybody else is shutting down? You talk about being remote. You're kind of remote anyway. You weren't in the studios doing the work. You were working out of your own facilities.
Yeah.
So was that a fairly easy transition 18 months ago when we all saw the doors closing?
It was a scary time, but I think it forced us a little bit to kind of prioritize what we were working on a little bit. So we pushed a little bit more into streaming because that stuff just kind of kept on rolling. So
yeah, everything was on hold, but then the major studios, Warner Brothers did HBO Max deal, Paramount has Paramount Network, Disney has Disney Plus.
They all set up their own little streaming network.
They all set up their thing, and then once they decided, hey, we're just going to start releasing stuff on streaming and in the theaters, the floodgates open, and everything was just right back to where it was, if not a little bit more. I mean, there's so much more content coming at us right now, so. Yeah, I feel like we kept pushing through, and we made sure when the time was everything was on hold, we were heavily working on our album work, heavily working on our A&R with our composers and artists. And then when everything opened back up, we just had that much more, to work with.
Let's talk about your studios. You actually set up a physical studio, mix rooms and such here in Nashville?
Yeah, over in Berry Hill.
Yeah.
And does, when we talk about like the songwriting realm in Nashville, we have songwriting rooms. Do you have composition rooms where people will get together and start, passing ideas back and forth, and then you go in and you record something? I mean, how does that process work in your studio? Are you set up to do all that? Is it an actual physical studio?
Yeah, so we have studios in-house in both Los Angeles and Nashville offices. Here in Nashville, we also have a mix stage, so we're mixing trailers and TV spots as well. Okay. The finishing side. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff that we work on is without a house people, so it's.
Our composers are all over the place.
Over the internet,
and they're just working in their houses and their garages and their basements, but yeah, we do have our own facilities as well.
Yeah, with our in-house composers, it's we pop into the room and check on stuff and collaborate on ideas.
Are you tracking orchestras, or are you just tracking electronic instrumentation? How does that work?
Mostly electronic instrumentation. We have done full, scoring sessions before, like at Ocean Way here in Nashville, but that's really rare, just because of the amount of changes that happen right up until the last second. It really doesn't allow for us to do, live string recording and stuff a lot of the time.
Does that seem to be something that maybe is going by the wayside? Because, it used to be back in the 50s, 60s, even the 70s, it was a lot of big band, big orchestra recording sessions before the digital age.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of music production companies that are still doing a lot of live recording.
For catalog material.
For catalog stuff, yeah. But the way our workflow works is that
time just doesn't
just doesn't give us the time to do it. And then even with our catalog, our clients know that, hey, if they chose a song out of our catalog, they know they can come back to and say, hey, okay, now we need to customize this piece that you guys did in your catalog. And if we had everything live recorded, the customizations just wouldn't sound the instruments just wouldn't sound the same. So it's easier for us to just have everything in the box and makes it quicker.
In the studio with us, Ghostwriter Music, we have Chris Bragg and Travis Michaud.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Whether you consider yourself a musician or not, music is all around us, and it affects our everyday lives. Whether it's background music influencing our shopping habits in a store, organ music adding the vibe to a baseball game, or a playlist convincing us to keep going on that last mile of a run. I'm Mindy Peterson, host of the podcast Enhance Life with Music, where we take a holistic look at music's benefits through the lens of science and medicine, entertainment, and business. You can find me and Enhance Life with Music at mpetersonmusic.com/podcast or wherever you get your audio.
Since 1963, Korg has been creating new experiences in music and performance. That is what drove the creation of some of Korg's most legendary products, such as the Poly 6, the M1, the Electribe, the Triton, the Minilogue, the Kronos, Wave State, Op 6, and most recently the Nautilus, which is what we have here in our studio. Korg is dedicated to creating new, innovative, and uncompromising instruments which maintain the highest quality to inspire music makers, past, present, and future. Visit Korg.com or your favorite Korg dealer to get your hands on one of their products and start creating new music always. Korg, the official sponsor of the business side of music.
You're listening to the business side of music.
Back in the studio here in Nashville, Tennessee, Chris Bragg and Travis Michaud are with us from Ghostwriter Music. Guys, are you seeing a growth? And we talked about the pandemic and, the transitions and things kind of smoothed out a little bit. Are you seeing a growth in this field? Because honestly, the rest of the music business has kind of been stagnant, for the last year and a half, with no touring, no live performances, not really being able to get into the studio and record. And then we talk about all of the studios now, television studios, have all picked up the streaming services, Paramount and Disney and such. So that's obviously a growth for you guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the amount of content coming through, every visual needs music, right? So for us, it's been, I think, pretty awesome in the last probably 3 months. We've seen a lot more content come towards us. And with that being said, we've hired more people and we've been able to expand what we're doing and how we're doing it. So expanding outside of trailers, getting into more marketing, getting into sonic branding and stuff like that.
So let's talk about that. What you guys do is not just movie trailers. You're also, there's a certain corporate aspect of where maybe you're coming up with something, as you said, branding or marketing opportunities.
Yeah, we work with ad agencies, on branding, corporate branding, sonic branding.
We've worked some local ad agencies here. Yeah, just TVs, commercials, and stuff like that. So
because we don't think about that when we watch a commercial, there's actually a music bed in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most of the time, like I said, anything that has a visual usually has music supporting it, and so that music has to come from somewhere. So we're hoping to be the ones to supply it.
And you guys create it.
Yeah.
What's next for you guys? What's tomorrow going to bring?
I mean, we started out as a custom company. So it was, in the beginning, it was just me and I was composing, every custom that came through the door. I think the next step is to have the catalog side catch up to the custom side, because right now I think that's the next step for us, is to really.
When you talk about building a catalog, is that is that like creating an album, or what is that?
Yeah, so we just essentially, the same vendors that we work with that are, doing our custom music, they're also asking for, hey, do you guys have stuff available that's this genre? And so as we keep growing, we will have more available for every genre somebody's looking for. So part of the reason coming to Nashville was to really dive into more artist music, that artists that maybe aren't touring artists, they're just playing gigs here in Nashville and they want to start making money. So the best thing for them to do is to make an album that is for production, and we can pitch that album to all types of advertising agencies to use in their commercials.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because it's not always just a background music per se.
Yep.
It's not just digital instrumentation. It could actually be a song that maybe a songwriter or an artist has written and or recorded, and that's something that you can put in the music bed of the project, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So depending on the artist, a lot of these guys have home rigs that they can record. If we hit them up and said, hey, let's make an album, we'll go over ideas of what they're going to write, and then they can record us something and send it back, and we got an album.
What's the craziest thing or the strangest thing you guys have ever had to do for a project?
Oof. No, there's so many.
Maybe that time you had to have your kids come in to do that horror.
Yeah, we've had to do because I have triplets that at the time they were probably 7 or 8. And have them sing Ring Around the Rosie in a really creepy manner.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we've had a lot of crazy projects, having to recreate a Rolling Stones music bed in one night. They're like, hey, we don't have stems for this thing. We need to recreate a type of rock track, and we have 4 hours to do it. So we had to record drums, record guitar, record bass, the whole thing,
Now, was this an actual Rolling Stones song, or would you have to create
something similar to
same style? How do you go about doing that? Do you just sit down and listen to a lot of Stones for a little bit and go, okay?
Yeah, I mean, luckily we rely heavily on our composers, and we know who can do what, and then it's just a lot of going back and forth with them through the night and figuring out essentially, composers can write all night long, but, we're working directly with the clients, so we have a lot of insight of what they want, so.
How can people find you, either as a composer that might want to offer their services to you, or for someone who's needing to get music for a trailer or a commercial spot? How do they go about finding you?
So our website is a good way. You can contact us through the website. It's ghostwritermusic.com. We're also on social media, so we get a lot of messages with demos and stuff that way. So that's always a good way to.
Do you get a lot of response? I mean, a lot of people going, "Hey, I think I can do something. I can help you guys out."
Yeah, we get a little bit of both on Facebook and on our website. People hitting us up, submitting stuff through our website is probably the biggest thing. And then we also get work. If somebody comes across our website and sees the work that we've done and wants to work with us, and yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you so much.
The Business Side of Music is the creation of Tom Sabella and Tracy Snow and is produced by Bob Bender. The Business Side of Music is recorded at Music Dog Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. Production sound design by Keith Stark. Voiceover and promo by Lisa Fuson.
Never had one lesson.
You're out. Finished. Expelled.
This tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.